to you today about the Voter Identification Verification Act that will go into effect in the 2016 general election. Alright, so what is it? It is a law that mandates a lot of things, but what I'm focusing on today is the photo identification portion of it. Before you enter the polling place to cast your vote, cast your ballot, you will be required to give the person at the voting place your photo identification. If you do not have it, you will not be allowed to cast your vote. And that is really important. And like it says on this slide, starting with the 2016 general election, you will be required to give a photo ID before you vote. And now what qualifies as a photo ID? You can use military ID, your driver's license, a just regular DMV identification card, because those are out there, a tribal card, anything like that, but a college or university ID, a high school ID, even if you're 18, even if you can vote, those will not be allowed because it's not from a government agency. Now, how many will be affected? It's about 6.5 million North Carolina registered voters, but only 318,000 do not have an ID, which is about 4.5%. That is a significant number when you're looking for every vote that counts. Now, on this graph here, it shows you the different minority groups that potentially could be affected. As you can see with the African American voters, they are 23% of the registered voters in our state, but they are 34% of those that do not have a photo identification. Either this is because they do not have the money to, or just because they don't want to. Women especially, they are 54% of our state's registered voters, but they are 64% of those that do not have a photo identification. Now, I'm not one of those 64%. I do have a photo identification. Also, Democrats are another minority group that is affected. They are 43% of our state's registered voters, but 55% of those that do not have a photo identification. And what if you cannot afford a photo ID? Like I mentioned before, some of the minority groups that are affected do not have a photo ID, either because they cannot afford it. Our state is offering a free ID program where you can go to the DMV, get your government agency ID free of charge, but there's a cost. It will cost our state about $834,000 between the years 2013 and 2014, but $24,000 every 2 years after that. So that is enormous, but it only amounts to about $2.60 per registered voter in our state, and only, $2.60 for every registered voter that does not have a photo ID. Every registered voter in our state, the 6.5 million, would only have to pay 14 cents to cover that fee. So 14 cents is not a lot of money. There are certain exceptions. Voters over the age of 70, as long as their license did not expire before they turn 70, they will be allowed to use their expired ID if they are over the age of 70. Also, those that have a religious objection, they have to go to the polling place prior to the election and sign a religious declaration that states, because of my religion, I do not want to have my photo taken. They have to do that prior to the election. Also, if you're the victim of a natural disaster that has been deemed a natural disaster from either the President of the United States or the Governor of North Carolina within 60 days of the election, you do not have to provide a photo identification. Your house catches on fire, you lose it in a flood, something like that, you don't have your ID. Also, curbside voters, they do not have to provide a photo ID. They can provide sheet, like a bank statement or their federal tax return instead of their photo identification. Also, absentee ballots that are sent in by mail, they also can use those things that have their name and their address on it, such as a bank statement or a federal tax return, as long as it's from a government agency. And those are my sources. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Curbside voter.
They pull up to the voting place and they vote from their car. Sometimes people with physical disabilities, they can't actually get out of their car.
Okay.
Is there, how long do you have to get, is there an exception for how long you have to have the ID before the election takes place?
That, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure before you go into the voting place, you have to have that ID. If it's the day of, as long as you have it. But there is like a 5-day turnaround for the